Ring the bell. Is my match over already? Usually that was the sound if the ring announcer announced my name. If you got up to get a glass of milk, you missed my match.
No, listen, this is Hey Roma time.
Hey, listen. Listen. Thank God there's YouTube so people can drink their milk and watch my match at the same time. So,
Listen, I ate an Oreo once. I dipped it in the milk. I took one bite. I looked up, and the match was over.
That was my whole career. What are you going to do? But listen, we are going to start our segment off the show, Hey Roma. Ironically, it just happens to be your last name, which is very convenient, Roma. So
hard for me to forget. Right?
We are going to start with our segment of Where in the World. Our guest tonight is Vietnam veteran Stephen Lee, and he gets all the credit because he came up with the concept of where in the world is. So before we have him on, let's just explain that where in the world is for our military veterans, active military, or anybody who's ever been in the military to serve our country can use this medium to find each other. In case you've been looking for somebody for years and you don't know whether they're here still or not, we could do this segment of where in the world is, hopefully because of it's 2024 and social media is everything. Through social media, we can find whoever we're looking for.
Right. I mean, somebody that you served with, you don't know if they're here, they've passed. They could be homeless, and somebody may have seen them, spoken to them, and you're trying to track them down. This is going to be the place to come to. Stephen Lee is really going to spearhead the entire, show, for lack of a better word, and try and get you in touch with those people. They don't just have to be Marines. They could be, Air Force, Navy, Army. It's all good. And that's, again, this is what Stephen Lee came up with. We love the idea. We're pitching it now, and we're going to get it out to as many people as we possibly can. And we hope that you spread this word because this is a great thing, a really great thing.
And here premiering on Hey Roma on our third episode, we have Stephen Lee with us. So, Mr. Lee, start your roll call, sir. Thank you for your service from the bottom of our hearts. And tell us who you'd like to look for first, sir.
All right. I just want to thank both of you for giving me the opportunity to give them the opportunity to find their friends. Because I know, as a fact, when I was in Vietnam, not only just Vietnam, but for all my duty stations, that I had friends that probably anybody that was in the military they know them by their last name or maybe by a nickname. Well, I have a lot of those friends that I love to contact if they're still alive, find out. But I don't know anything but those last names or the nicknames that I was under. And in Vietnam, I had a close friend of mine that I lost contact with. His name was Johnson. How many Johnsons do you think we got in the world? Yeah. Well, he lived in Baltimore, and he was with me a night of a rocket attack. There was 11 of us, and when the thing was all cleaned up, there was just him and I.
Oh.
And I'd like to find this guy. I haven't talked to him since because the next morning we went different ways. They put us in different units. Fantastic guy, and if anybody knows him, like I said, the last I heard he was from Baltimore because he used to talk about the Baltimore baseball games that they couldn't get any people in the seats, even though they were doing well. Well, anyway, my idea was that if you have somebody that you would like to find, like I'm going to try to find, you can come on the show. Paul and Mario will both be glad to listen to your story. You can say a little bit about the guy like I just did. You can talk, let us try to get a feel for what you're looking for, where he's at, when last time you seen him, who would recognize him. Has he got half a dozen brothers like Johnson did that was in the Marines? if we can help you, we'll help you. And I thought that was a good idea, and I'd like to start, get some of you guys calling in. You just don't have to call in if you're going to look for someone. If you've got a comment you want to make, or maybe you know this person that another person is looking for. Whatever we can do to find them or connect them, we're going to try to do it.
Right.
And I always thought that'd be a good idea.
Well, listen. We here think it's a great idea. And on the other side of it, maybe there's a family member that knows about him or her and what's happened, and they can at least call in to you or come on to the show and let us know. And maybe there's some that need help. And that's what we're here for also. We'd love to be able to help somebody. I know that we've been invited down to Arlington in August to pay our respects, big ceremony going on. And again, love to address everybody there and let them know this is what we're here for. This is a platform because we have, so much vested in our military for all they do for us. And we're trying to give back any way that we can. But go ahead.
But since you mentioned that, definitely there's going to be a monument dedicated to the Cap Marines in Vietnam. I happen to be in the Cap unit, and I'm going to contact some people. I'd like to be able to present this at the memorial. We also have our reunion at the same time. It'd be nice to get it out to as many people as we can. And I'm going to make some calls and see if Paul, the guy's name is Paul, that runs it, he's the president, and see if we can get these guys on. I invited them down, and I want to introduce them to as many Marines as I can. And like I say, this is not just for Marines. It just happens that I was with Marines, and to get it started, I like to start with them.
Right.
But anybody, any branch of service, police officers, whatever, firemen, anybody who wants to find out something, whatever. And I have a little experience being going to the VA hospital as much as I do. I might be able to help you there. Whatever you think you need, just don't be scared to ask. We'll tell you what we know. We won't be us. And one other thing, this don't cost a dime to anybody.
Right.
This is strictly free. You can,
Well, let's.
your friends, this show is free, and we're here to help you. That's what the whole
That's what it's all about. Well, let me ask you this. So, we love to send out a number that people could call, contact you, and get this ball rolling. So, if you want to give us a number, Stephen, that is accessible to everybody, it's up to you. It's on you.
I'll give you a number, and if you wanted to call, the best time to call would be Eastern Standard Time from like 12 to 3, any day.
Right.
If nothing else, you can leave a message, and I'll get back with you.
Yep.
And we'll see how this works. If it works good, we'll leave it. If something happens, we got to change it or whatever, we'll do that.
Right.
But we want to help you, and I think the big thing is it don't cost nothing. And if you want to make an announcement where somebody had passed away, anything like that, you can do it. If you want to talk about your father, your brother, whoever.
Yes, we'd love and we'd love to have them on the show.
That's right. And then just call in. You're going to have a number for them, Paul, to call in to the show.
Yep. So you want to give a number, or how do you want to do it?
Well, this is what I suggest.
Go
Like for instance, right now I'm on TikTok Live, and I'm streaming live, and right now I have 1,100 people that are listening right now. So we have a very talented producer. So when I say that, not only is this show running, streaming live right now, like not only am I on TikTok right now, but the producer runs snippets, which is the going thing on TikTok, like 15-second snippets or 30-second snippets, because we all know that every 5 minutes Roma says something very compelling, so we have to get that out. So we put it on YouTube on a snippet, or we put the entire show on YouTube. So you can either comment on TikTok, you can either comment on YouTube, and or even live on the show. Like I say, I have 1,100 people following right now. So for the people that are watching my big fat head on this microphone right now, if they're daughters, sisters, brothers, wives, husbands, they have grandfathers that are still alive that were in the Vietnam War. They have great grandfathers that were in World War II. They know what we're doing right now. They know what we're doing right now is something called Where in the World Is, and we're trying to reconnect our military veterans. So if anybody knows, I mean, there's no doubt that Johnson is kind of rough, but to narrow it down that he was in Maryland is good. His last name is Johnson. He's in Maryland, and he's a Vietnam veteran. And so, right. Stephen, as painful as it makes me to say this, because I've gone through this. Like, my father passed away in 2015, 4 months shy of 90, and he was a World War II veteran from the Battle of the Bulge. Well, you in more, there are very few World War II veterans left. You Vietnam veterans are taking the place of those World War II veterans now. Now you guys are the oldest war veterans in our country. So but still too young not to die, right? So I think this is a very important thing. I think there's a lot of mediums just a little leery about giving out phone numbers. Even though Roma's phone number is worldwide with the pro wrestling school. But I think it's important through any medium, whether it be on TikTok or somebody get a hold of us on YouTube saying, hey, listen, I heard, like, if you could tell us what battalion you were in, where you served, what different units you were in. They could say, oh, my God, my grandfather, hey, do you know Stephen Lee? Oh, my God, I haven't heard that name in years. And all of a sudden, you guys are connected. Right. So I think through social media, I think that would be adequate enough for people to respond to this podcast as far as our segment of Where in the World Is and start connecting. Even if everybody out there would like to start a group or start just sending us names. Look, I don't know if you're looking for this guy, but this is who I know, and he's a Vietnam veteran. I don't know if you're looking for him, but I know this guy. He's a Vietnam veteran. This is where he is. This is his Facebook. Get him and hold it with Stephen Lee, and all of a sudden we have a group of 500 Vietnam veterans. That would be a beautiful thing.
Right.
That would be a beautiful
thing. Or, eventually if it snowballs, which out of control, which is great, snowballing out of control in the best way possible, then we get an 800 number. We have people that are at the end of that line making and connecting everybody and getting them back together again. Because, again, this was great. It's a great idea what you have, Stephen. I love it. He loves it. Yeah. I think every veteran, is going to love this. How could they not? To get in touch with, somebody you haven't seen in 20, 30 years is just, it should be easy right now. Because of social media, it should be easy. So streaming live and doing all this, we're going to do everything we can. And I just feel in my heart that this is just going to just snowball into something great. I think it was phenomenal what you came up with.
It's a very good idea what you have to unite Vietnam veterans. Listen,
and all veterans.
All veterans. Social media is strong. So it shouldn't really be that hard to accomplish this.
I was going to say just a couple things. First of all, I'm a corpsman. They call me Doc. The second thing was Johnson was in the CAP units in outside of Fubai, and he would know, or anybody that's with him would know what I'm talking about. So that's a little bit more about Johnson.
Yeah, no, now you're getting granular with it, which is good. You're really, you're breaking it down to where, again, now, you're narrowing it down, right? I mean, at the end of the day, really narrowed him down. And there's a really good chance he's going to see this. This show, Hey Roma, it's going to explode. There's no doubt it's going to explode. There's no reason why, it shouldn't. And we're going to get the word out there to all military, first and foremost, where we stand, why you should watch this platform, because we care about you. We appreciate what you've done. Our fathers served also, and we have all the respect in the world. Not like all these other people out there, and there's plenty of them that don't. We respect you, and that's what we want to bring to the forefront, and that's what we're going to do.
Tremendous sacrifice, with our military, and it means so much. So surprise to the wrestling fans out there that are looking at Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. This show is quite a different show. It's just not going to be about professional wrestling. There's just too many other things in life that are so much more important than that. Although we will be obviously touching on it,
Right.
But there are a lot of other things that we want to go over and we want to discuss, and a lot more issues than just professional wrestling.
There's a lot going on in the world.
Obviously, with this segment with Stephen Lee. So, and again, the segment's called "Where in the World Is," and it would be great if our military can band together. And Roma's right. I mean, it doesn't have to be Vietnam. It doesn't have to be Desert Storm. It doesn't have to be Desert Shield. It could be guys that served in the military together. They got discharged and they just lost contact, and they served in the military, active or not. So this is very near and dear to our hearts, and we want this to be very successful, and we want everybody to band together, and because when you're a Marine for life, right? And you got Army Strong, and everybody, which Roma and I understand at a certain level, being friends for 40 years and being in the wrestling business for 40 years, he and I and a few other guys in the wrestling business have become brothers. That brotherhood is even stronger in the military, especially when you're fighting for your lives side by side. Of course, a brotherhood forms. And listen, there's nothing I'd rather see than a tearful reunion with all the veterans.
Right.
I wanted to say one quick one.
Yeah.
About 15 years ago, I contacted a friend of mine that we were stationed together in Camp Pendleton and for 2 years, and then we went to Vietnam together. When we got to Vietnam, we got split up in Phu Bai. And he went one way and I went another, but we made contact 2 or 3 times during the year. And when he said, before we go, I got to get our addresses and exchange them because we were both getting out. And I said, sure, I'll see you. We'll be going home together. So I was planning on doing that. Well, the day before we were leaving, he got a rat. Got him by the mouth. Fell out of a tree, believe it or not. The rat was huge. And had him by the mouth. It took part of his jaw off.
Jeez.
Took a couple of teeth out, and he beat it against a tree. He ended up going, he met it back up. I never saw him again. And when he was in the rear, he said, I got to get Steve Lee's address. And somebody told him that I was killed. And he said he was sick to his stomach and never mentioned my name again. Well, when I found, I knew he was from West Virginia, I was calling and I found a guy named with the same name. It was his son. And I ended up getting a hold of him. When I got a hold of him, he started crying on the phone. That's how excited he was. So that's what I want to do for other people. We were together that weekend. So, I think it'd be good, and I think it maybe it just fill a little piece of your heart or something you've been thinking about this guy. Because it made my day.
Well, I think it's going to make everybody's day, Stephen. I think you kind of downplayed that. I think it's going to make everybody's day. This is, again, I can't say it enough. There's a great platform. We're gonna make it explode. There's no doubt we're gonna make it explode. We're gonna get more people on here. So in saying that, I'm gonna leave you go now because We're going to attend to some other things, but we're going to circle back next show also. All right?
You got it.
Stephen Lee, everybody. One of the best right there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stephen. Bye.
So that's it. Where in the world is if you guys know of anybody and you want to contact myself, I mean, I'm not hard to find. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. I'm
Right.
on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
I'm on the internet.
Roma's on Facebook.
You know, we're
It's
on Facebook.
Yeah, really not hard to find. So
And here's the other problem with Facebook, though. You know, I have a lot of veterans contacting me to friend me, and I do, but Facebook only takes up
5,000.
Yeah. And I think I had 2 Facebook accounts at one time, and they filled. So, but again, you know, the power of the internet, you can find a number. You can get in touch with me if need be. It's not a problem. You know, again, this is a great platform. Stephen Lee, I met him a couple years ago. He is stand-up. He is what I consider a hero.
A hero.
So, you know, you talk about, you know, Marvel, okay? Maybe they should have made a Marvel character out of Stephen Lee because he's a true hero. He's not, you know, one that is pretend that, you know, they made up. This guy is real. And there's a lot of veterans out there that are real, okay? They're all heroes. I mean, think about that. Without them, we wouldn't have our platform right now. We wouldn't be where we are today because we wouldn't have a United States.
Well, we didn't have the freedom to do this.
Exactly right.
So, awesome. If people could really tap into that, we'd appreciate it, and we'd bring our military together.
Right. And what makes us successful is Mancini's Maniacs, okay? It's very important that you jump on, you follow. Again, when we open this up for, you know, Q&A questions, okay, and our answers, it's very important that that happens because, again, the bigger the audience, the easier it is to, you know, filter it out there. And again, I know I had a phenomenal following at my prior podcast. My Roma Nation, don't let me down, everybody, because listen, this is bigger than just this. You know, you saw Stephen Lee, you heard what he had to say. If you have anybody that is military in your family, friends, whoever they are, this is important. It's important to them. It's important to us. I mean, it's the whole thing, the whole ball of wax, as they used to say. I'm probably aging myself now, right? Biggest ball, yeah, whatever. But again, so what we're going to do is this. We're going to transition over because we do have some questions. And again, the elephant in the room.
Well, I have to say, Roma, something has been bothering me since we went on the air. 30 seconds before we went on the air, you dropped a bomb on me, and I stayed focused on Stephen Lee as he deserves, and I set it aside, but now it's bothering me again, and I need to clarify some things with you. If I heard you correctly, I might have misheard you, I'm not sure, but I think I heard one of the strangest, dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Did I actually hear a quote that somebody said that somebody did something just for the attention?
I'm losing you, man.
Just for the attention. We were speaking of...
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, man. You know, you threw me that curve. You know, I'm thinking military, Stephen Lee, you know,
Yeah.
and then you throw this curveball
Yeah.
at me. You should have rang the bell, Mancini. You should have rang the bell.
That's another one of my matches over.
I
that
know,
quick.
but listen, wake me up here, all right? Yes. So, saw an interview.
Yeah.
There's a female wrestler.
Yeah.
Name?
Ashley Massaro.
Her, from what I understand, it was her sister that was having this interview, and people reached out. Now, Miss Massaro had committed suicide
Committed suicide.
after an horrific, how can I say this, rape, right? And her sister was accused of going on the air, defending her, which was important, and saying that she's just looking for attention. Okay? I have a real problem with that. All right? You want to say that she's out there looking for attention. Why? Is she making money off of this? Is she going to be, doing movies after she's done with these interviews? No. She's speaking and protecting her sister. So you people that are opening your mouths about her looking for attention, you're all full of shit. It's you people that are looking for attention. That's what you're looking for. You want to have your say. You want your minute in the spotlight to downplay her sister's passing. And I don't like that. I don't agree with it. And this is my platform for what's going on as far as that goes. You got it? Understood? You have something to say? Come on our show. Give me a call. Tell me you want to come on the show, and I'll debate it. Mario will debate it with you. We'll do it all day long. You want your 5 minutes of fame? Not a problem. Come on our show. We'll bring you on, and I want to hear, and I want you to tell everybody out there why she's looking for attention. When her sister passed away, and all she wants is justice for her sister. Because the WWE, they're the people who downplayed her death. So think about that before you open your damn mouths.
The thing, I'm going to get really deep here. If you really stop and think about it, when you have a human being that is in such a dark place and such a downtime in their life, and they might not have the tools to cope with it, and for them to feel that the only way out is to kill themselves, that's a very distraught person. And to say something about her sister just trying to get attention, it is pretty sad, because you know what? It's not only Ashley Massaro. It's 2024. It is post-COVID society. It is, it's the world we're living in today. It's financial situations. It's divorce rates. It's, as much as it's divorce rates, it's people trying to come together. I through my single life for the past 6 years, I've noticed that, and I'm not saying I'm not. I'm saying that I developed the tools and sought help to deal with any kind of depression, any kind of loss I've suffered. A lot of people won't do that. And a lot of people are in a lot of dark places these days. It's the saying, like, if you're talking to somebody, or even if you don't know them well, or you do know them well, be kind, because you don't know what's in that person's soul. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what kind of hardship they're going through. And, that's hard enough. But to go through something very traumatic in your life, as Ashley Massaro did,
she just wants to she's protecting her sister.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, I'll tell you a quick story. So I'm sitting in a diner with a very good friend of mine. And he points to this guy sitting alone in a booth. And he says, "You see that guy over there?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "He walks up and down the streets with his head down, looking for money." That's what he said to me. I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Wow." I said, "Well, maybe that's not the case." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Maybe he's walking up and down the streets because maybe he lost someone in his family. Maybe he lost a daughter, and he's lost. I said, "Did you ever think of that? Don't be so quick to pass judgment on people." And that's what everybody's doing. Well, not everybody. Let me rephrase that. That's what a lot of people, at least the ones commenting negatively about her sister, are doing. She is trying to take her sister out from under that black cloud that the WWE is painting on her. All right? When the first girl, woman, young lady came forward from USA Gymnastics, what do you think that took? And now you have how many? Hundreds of people. And I'm not even going to mention this doctor or therapist's name. Everybody knows who he is. And then we find out Michigan too. He was doing it to them too. So if all these women didn't come out, let's say one person only had the nerve to come out, would you say that she's lying? All those same people would have said she was lying. But now that there's, 100 of them, oh, it's true. You're damn right it's true. That's why he's in prison. And that's what's happening here with Vince McMahon. That's what they're looking to do. Because she's not the first. She's one of many.
Many.
And that's what and not just females, males also. So you people that are running your mouth saying that she's just looking for attention, or you may think we're looking for attention, you're sadly mistaken. And again, we open this up to anybody who has something to say.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing, I talk to, Roma and I talk every day, but, there's something I said to him last night. I was there. I started there in July of 84 in the WWF, 8 months before WrestleMania 1. Roma came in December of 84. And the point is, no matter what positions we were in, we were there. And nobody can take that away from us. We were there, and we had eyes and we had ears, and we had a couple of people like SD Jones, and I'm going to say it because nobody's going to do anything to SD. Sadly, he's passed away. To smarten myself and Roma up to the business, and who's in what position and what they're like, and stay away from this one, stay away from that one, and we were very fortunate to have SD, and as human nature is when it says, hey, stay away from this one, you kind of watch them a little harder than everybody else, right? So, it's not only women, it's men. When you bring up an Ashley Massaro and you bring up the WWE, I know that I went on my beloved TikTok here, Roma, who is sadly slowly killing the singing wrestler, because I Googled stuff and it looks like around February 12th, TikTok and some music, whoever runs the copyright music, they can't come to an agreement. So my songs on TikTok are like a silent movie. But I put on TikTok, I was watching TV, and John Cena was on the Howard Stern show. And John Cena said, and anybody can look it up, I know John Cena is a big superstar. I know he is. God, one of the biggest superstars in wrestling, right? And I am just a lowly jobber from the 80s. However, it's the same business. Same business.
Well, he's only a superstar because, like anybody, you were made a superstar, right?
Well, I always say this, you know what I mean? If the world of professional wrestling, especially back in the 80s, they could have taken anyone. They could have taken an average Joe off the street with the right gimmick and the right push and the right marketing. They could have made anybody a superstar. The question is, did they want to? All right. And
Or wait a minute, hold on. I didn't mean to cut you off like that, but not only did they want to, what did they do, right? Potentially, or what did they allow you to do to them?
well, here's the thing. I've been saying it for years before this medium came forward, when there were just newspaper articles and magazine articles. And I'm not going to be not true to myself now, because I was true to myself then. There's 3 ways back in the 80s. 3 to become a superstar. The first way is to be bloodborne. And I would never take anything away from those guys. You know what I mean? For instance, my father worked in a bearing factory for 40 years. I'm sure when I turned 18 and I walked into that bearing factory in the office, and I said, "Hey, I'm Ralph's son." They go, "Oh, wow, you know, give him a shift right away. That's Ralph's son.
Let's give him a job.
Let's give him a job. That's Ralph's son, right?" Well, the same thing in the wrestling business. You got our very dear friend Greg Valentine. His father was Johnny Valentine. You have the Samoan dynasty that started with High Chief Peter Maivia, that went to the Wild Samoans, that went to Yokozuna, Rikishi, the Head Shrinkers, The Rock, Rocky Johnson, wrestling royalty, right? Royalty. You have the Hart family. You have the DiBiase's. You have Larry the Axe Henning, was the father of Kurt Hennig. You have Bruno Sammartino, David Sammartino. I take nothing away from them. That's the first way to be successful in the wrestling business. The second way, well, you are set aside from everybody else in a couple of different ways. And I'll say it right with him to the left of me. You can have the best body in wrestling, like Roma did.
He's talking about this guy right here.
Like Roma did, and you won't be denied. In fact, the first night that he was in that dressing room, I told him he wouldn't be denied because he looked better than anybody in that dressing room. So you could be that, or Andre the Giant, Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, Earthquake, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. You know where I'm going with this, right? A freak, right? Just an enormous human being. Okay.
Huge.
All right. Those are the 2 ways that you could have gotten the push and you could have made superstar status back in the 80s in pro wrestling. The third way was to drop your pants and let them play with your penis.
Or other areas of your body.
Or other areas of your body.
Or vice versa. You do it to them.
Yeah. That was the way to, listen, at the very least, make a good living. And you guys have to understand something. In order to make a good living in pro wrestling back then, because there's guaranteed contracts now, they didn't exist back then.
Right.
If you didn't work, you didn't get paid.
Correct.
So you could make a decent living if you're booked 21 days a month. You're going to make a damn good living, even if you're a lower level or a mid-card guy. As long as you're booked every day, you're going to make a living. You don't necessarily have to be a big draw superstar. But in order to get that, you're going to have to do things either that you want to do or you don't want to do in order to make a living. Those were the 3 ways back in the 80s to make it into wrestling.
But let me interject one thing. But when they're done playing with you,
they get rid of you.
You're gone.
You're gone
just as fast.
Yeah, which is why I'm proud to say that I lasted almost 8 years, 3 months shy of 8 years, and I lost every match. So everybody knows that I have moral character, and I didn't participate in any of that stuff because I'm one of the top.
His ass wasn't as cute as everybody else's. He doesn't want to tell you that.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't that attractive. I don't know, but listen. I am one of the top, at least one of the top 15 losers in pro wrestling history, right? And I'm proud to hang my hat on that because along with that, people could say, "Well, hell, Mancini didn't do anything to, to compromise."
You got
himself."
dignity, man.
Yeah, he didn't do anything to compromise himself because he lost every match. You know what I mean? So there are plenty of guys that did, and you're going, who? Well, we'd like to tell you, but ironically, Roman Nation, a strong million at one time, Roma Nation, which Roma Nation is alive and well now, and we have to
we're back, baby.
We're back. Roma Nation's back, and we need to formulate again from the past. And what's ironic about it, which nobody will get, but the man sitting to my left, which in the future you will get, what the funny part of this whole thing is, Lionsgate. It's hilarious. And one day we're gonna explain that punchline to you someday.
Yeah, it's a good punchline.
Yeah, it's a good punchline.
Listen, let's go back to what you were starting to say about John Cena.
Well, John Cena went on Howard Stern, and Howard very elegantly explained himself and his life. Like, listen, I love people. Certain people in my life. I respect certain people in my life. I'm very close to certain people in my life. But however, if something so atrocious and outrageous was done by one of them, I'd have to question whether I can continue that relationship. I'd have to question myself. As much as I love them, I'd have to question myself. And he looked at John Cena, and he was referencing that to Vince McMahon. And John Cena turned around, and he said, I love Vince McMahon. I'm going to stand by Vince McMahon because that's what friends do. When the shit hits the fan and your friends in your lowest time of their life, when people get in that position, you find out who your friends really are. Yes. Absolutely, John. I agree. John. This is how I agree. Unforeseen financial hardship. Unforeseen, unexpected physical ailment. Something tragic that happened that wasn't within their control, and they're a victim of it. That is when you stand by your friend. That is when you say, hey, man, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? You're my friend. I'm here for you. Let me tell you something right now. If the tables were turned and somebody called Roma and said, listen, Mancini raped somebody and then he took a shit on her head, I'd be dead. That nobody would have to worry about me going to jail. Nobody would have to worry about charges pressed against me because Roman would come to my house and he would kill me.
But that would never happen.
Right.
Here, let me give you.
And that's as close as a friend without the same blood running through our veins.
Listen, I figured this all out. Okay, know what this means? Look at me. Know what this means? I don't see shit. That's what that means. Okay? That's what that means. When he goes out there and does this, that means Vince can do whatever the hell he wants. I don't see shit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something I know about him and what I think about him. I didn't like him from the beginning because I heard a lot of bad things about his attitude. I heard about how he got his break.
Me too.
Okay? Number one. So, then I heard something different, which was Make-A-Wish Foundation, right? Right. Kids, what he's doing. I love it. So I put everything else aside about what I heard from different wrestlers about John, and I said, well, maybe he's not a bad guy after all. He's doing the right thing by the kids. That's great.
Broke a record for Make-A-Wish, the celebrity that's done the most Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Well, I went, see, and to add to what I was saying about holding like a grudge, so to speak, I was in Massachusetts. I was doing a charity event, and they said, hey, we tried to get John Cena. I said, did you really? I said, what'd he say? Nope. He lives right down the street from there, from where I was. I go, really? And they said, yeah. I said, he told you no? And they said, yeah. Wanted to be paid. I was like, wow, okay. Well, that added to, what I thought about him, which wasn't good to start with, because all these wrestlers come up to me, and so on. So that being said, now he goes on, and as you just said, he defends. I mean, it's like trying to defend the doctor that raped the gymnast, that had his way with them, all right? Just shut your mouth and say you have no comment.
Right.
I mean, that's the best thing to do. However, let's go back to what you said now before, and we said on our other previous podcast. He is getting funded. He is looking for that another payday for WrestleMania or Survivor or whatever names they've come up with, which I can't even remember any of them anymore for the most part. Okay, don't want to. So he's looking for a payday. Of course he's going to play nice in the sandbox.
Right.
Call me up. Bring me on the show. Let me wrestle. Let me win. I understand what he's doing. I get it. How about shut up and say you have no comment instead of putting your foot up your ass and telling me, well, I'm going to wait, I don't believe this. And you know exactly what's going on. You know what's been going on, John, because we know what's going on and what's gone on for the past 30, 40 years. And who knows before that, from people being murdered on up. So understand that. Don't sit there and bullshit everybody and say, oh, I'm standing by him. Why? So you get another payday?
Well,
so you sit around the phone like all these other guys and wait and don't come forward and keep your mouth shut while he goes and does whatever he wants to whomever he wants. He ruins lives. People commit suicide because of what he's done psychologically. He just mind screws them. Yeah, that's just great, John. Stick by him. See where that gets you when this is all said and done.
See, the thing is today in 2024, like Roma actually worked WrestleMania. I sold popcorn there. No, actually, I didn't even attend, but Roma actually worked at WrestleMania. The point I'm trying to make is back in the 80s when you worked WrestleMania, if you were a Randy Savage, right, your payday for WrestleMania could be $250,000, $300,000.
Could be $1 million. Well, not back then, but
not
now.
back then. It could.
Now, yeah.
WrestleMania 1, Vince, this is the legend story. Vince paid Hulk Hogan $500,000 for WrestleMania 1, and Hogan looked at him and said, where's the other half? And Vince came up with it. But my point is, you guys now have a guy like John Cena or listen, disclaimer, deservingly, The Rock, they can make 10, 15 million for WrestleMania.
Right.
So,
and listen, The Rock,
you know what I mean?
One tremendous. Listen, I hope to God that he's not involved in any way, shape, or form. Okay, I follow The Rock. I support The Rock. For the most part.
So do I.
Okay, love his family. I have a lot of love for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so. But he's not out there opening his mouth.
No, you know why? Because Alpha called.
Well, because he's smart.
Because Alpha called him and said, "Keep your mouth shut."
Well, yeah, I believe that. I believe that too. You know what? And you don't mess with Alpha or Sika. Let me tell you.
Don't mess with Alpha or Sika.
No, all the respect, you guys. All the respect.
All due respect. The Simone dynasty's royalty.
Right.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, Roma, there's professional wrestling. There's the business of professional wrestling, and then there's Dwayne Johnson and Steve Austin. Way over.
Another good guy,
all by themselves. All by themselves.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are very few wrestlers in the wrestling business that the business needs them more than they need the business. And Steve Austin and Dwayne Johnson are two people.
Yes. But, And I've come across some things where, and I'm sure they're very true, coming from the sources that I've gotten them from. I feel like a reporter here. This is great. And there's been people like John that have crushed other people's careers because of where they stand in the pecking order and how much say that they have. And I'm sure a super fan out there knows exactly who I'm speaking of right now, to say the least. Just like Hogan opened his mouth and took people out of position, got them fired. Don't think this doesn't happen. These guys are jealous of one another.
Yep.
They don't want anybody replacing them. The Warrior went out and he shook the ropes. He shook the ropes and people went crazy. And I knew the Warrior. Couldn't wrestle a lick. But shake those ropes, baby.
He was a cartoon character.
He was a cartoon character. But again, he's a threat. He's a threat to the Hulk Hogan. He's a threat to anybody coming up the chain. And these guys were notorious for trying to get you to say something or agree with something, and then they run back to what we call the office, and they tell them, well, this guy said this about him, and this guy said that about him. They stooge you off. They're setting you up to stooge you off because they're afraid that they're going to lose their position to you. This is the wrestling business. You're talking to people that know what it's all about. All right? It's a dog-eat-dog business, the worst of the worst. Believe me when I tell you this. And you know what the real sad part is? While this is going on with the boys, right, and they're cutting each other's throats, the higher-ups are laughing about it because they think it's a lot of fun.
They do.
Right?
Sadistically.
They're raping and pillaging men and women and children out, having a good time, the best time of their life as far as they're concerned, and their sick, twisted mind. And we're trying to just stay afloat and make a payday to provide for our families. And we're under all this duress. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You people out there don't know a quarter of it, of what's going on, what has gone on, what has happened in the past. Nothing. You have no idea. You think that some of this is, they're a little over the top. No, you're wrong. We're not over the top. We haven't even touched on some of the stuff. You'd be very shocked and surprised. And it's all going to come out. Trust us. It's all going to come out. And the boys, the wrestlers, what we call the boys, if they don't like it, that's too bad. You can protect them all you want. Protect the Vince McMahons of the world all you want. I'm not going to anymore. I'm not keeping my mouth shut anymore. For what, I had to go through, and I seen other people go through, it's just wrong. It's just morally, ethically wrong. And it's sad. You get to a position, all of a sudden, it's either do this or you're done. What do you do? I wasn't living in a multi-million-dollar home, but what about those guys that were? What then? What do you do? Your back's against the wall. Where are you going to go? 9-to-5 job and make that kind of money? No. When I got out of wrestling, when I called it quits, I got a job working for some attorneys. Do you know I looked at my paycheck and I was walking with one of the guys I worked with, and I looked at him and I looked down. I looked back at him again. He goes, "What's wrong?" I go, "This can't be right." He goes, "Why? What's wrong?" I showed it to him. He goes, "No, that's right." I go, "No, that can't be. Because I made this in 5 minutes in the ring. I just worked 40, 80 hours for this." No, it was right. It was absolutely right. Trying to go back into the real world.
That's the rough part. That was
right.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I broke in 6 weeks after I turned 18, and I got out 3 months shy of my 26th birthday because I was able to shift gears. Being that young, I'm very thankful for that. But the transition back into the real world, I even try to explain this with relationships, because but you go to arenas and no matter what position you were in, as long as you had boots and trunks on and you were on TV,
Well, somebody wanted to know you.
Well, yeah,
Right? I mean, that's what it came down to.
they threw themselves at you,
Right.
but you get in the real world and you're on your hands and knees begging for a date. Well, not with Jean Marie. I gotta say that I didn't have to beg, but you're on your hands and knees begging for a date.
This guy, I
except
don't know.
for Jean Marie.
I don't know.
She
I
didn't,
think it had to do with your singing. I think you just
she didn't do that to
lulled
me.
her.
She didn't do that to me.
I think she just just
I-
melted.
oh, listen.
With that voice I heard,
It's a tough-
I'm sure all your fans.
Listen,
listen,
they cut me off.
Mancini's
They're-
Maniacs, man.
They're
Just
muting
chime in
me.
here.
Mancini's Maniacs, you grab your devil dogs, you grab your vanilla milkshakes, and you just sit back and watch Mancini do his thing. And just raise that milkshake and go, hey, brother.
That's right. And drink that milkshake before it curds itself from his singing, okay? just so you know, before it goes sour.
Listen, here's the situation, and this is the best way I can describe it to you, and it's the truth. It's the truth. And you'll always get the truth here. And I have no other way to describe this other than this. And I know it's gonna be hard for you to wrap your head around this, but
Wait, before you say that.
Go ahead.
I never understood that. Wrap your head around.
Because
like your arms, I get it.
yeah,
Wrap your arms around.
the thing is you're gonna try. It's one of those things where you're gonna put your hand to your chin and you're gonna try to think of the concept and grasp a concept. Grasping a concept is like trying to wrap your brain around what I'm trying to say. Is it was a silk hood. So here you had. Listen, here you had Mr. T. Hulk Hogan, Cowboy Bob Orton, Roddy Piper, Ordendorff, Billy Martin, Liberace, Muhammad Ali, WrestleMania 1, Madison Square Garden, gala event. You had wrestling exploding, right? And just thrusting forward. In the meantime, in the back, behind the scenes, it still was the carnival. Dun, 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 and that's how they ran it. It was carny. It wasn't really it wasn't like Major League Baseball. You walk in, there's a carpet, you have a locker, your name's there. You know what I mean? You have people serving you. There's waters in your locker. You know, people are polite. People are behaving themselves. But you got Andre going in there working drunk. Before WrestleMania 3, and Roma was there, Hogan came down from a spot with Andre prior to WrestleMania 3, and Andre had gotten his hands on him. Of course, it was broken up because you got to save the good stuff for WrestleMania. And Hogan came downstairs and he was screaming, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. I'm not going to make it to WrestleMania because he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He almost killed me out there. Andre's drunk. You got some guys rubbing themselves off half hard, put in their trunk, so when they go out there, it looks like they have a big penis. They're in the bathroom like this. I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like,
You have no idea what we
It looks
witnessed.
good when you go out there, you know.
Yeah,
So
no idea what we witnessed.
Listen,
It's not the norm.
yeah, you got.
I don't think hockey players do
Listen,
that.
yeah,
Football
no,
players,
you got-
basketball.
no.
I don't think so.
You had guys sticking themselves in there. The needle. One guy, the needle dropped, and it had an angle that the tip bent. And he's like, "Anybody got a pin? My pin's bent." And like, no, nobody. He bled all over the place, man. He bled everywhere.
Pulled a chunk of skin out of his ass.
Of skin out of his ass because the needle was bent with the steroids. Listen, it was kind of nuts.
Kind of.
Listen, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That's it. Our producer's given us a high sign that we've hit the hour mark.
Yeah. Well, let me say this.
Go ahead.
Okay, in closing.
This is why it's called Hey Roma. Get the last word, Roma.
In closing, right? Mancini's Maniacs, Roma Nation, our military, no matter who you are, where you served, we love you guys for what you've done, and you women for who've served for what you've done. Whether you kept our military alive, whether you fought alongside of them, we are always grateful for that here at Hey Roma. With that being said, spread the word, because again, this is not just about Hey Roma spreading the word of this cast right here. This is about us helping the military and the brothers and sisters finding one another once the war is over. And if they're out on the street, that is not where they belong. They don't deserve that. And we're going to do everything we can to help them. But we need your help. This is where it starts. Right here at Hey Roma, this is where it starts, because this format, what's going on, we need your help. We both thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we will see you next week.
Just before we leave, I would be remiss, Roma, if you could hit the bell. That is for our dear friend, funny guy, pure heart, little wild side, Mike Jones, who started out in the wrestling business in the same position I was in as a jobber, and through an honest break, just because he fit the character, he became Virgil for Ted DiBiase, Mike Jones, and we would just like to give our condolences to his family. It was a sad passing.
Yep.
And we really, it's a really sad time to see that happen to Mike. I know he was in bad shape, but may he rest in peace, and prayers to his family.
Yes.
I don't know if you can speak, Roma. My prayers to the family of Ole Anderson. I did not know or ever meet Ole Anderson. I'm sure you have.
Well, he was a gentleman when I met him.
Yeah.
I have nothing, only kind words to say about him. Like I said, a gentleman, very nice man to me. Virgil, traveled him quite a bit, had a lot of fun with him.
A lot of laughs.
It was a surprise, a very big surprise when I heard the news. Our condolences go out to their family, and we're sorry here at Hey Roma. But again, don't want to leave off on a low note, want to leave off on a high note. So again, Mancini's Maniacs, Roma Nation, we want to hear from you. We want you to back us, and more importantly,
Where in the world is?
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 Stephen Lee Soldiers.
That's it. God bless you all. We'll see you next